trouble, Mike. Nunes's hands are down, and she's walking Ronda down. She tagged her again.
Over and over. Amanda Nunes. Big combination.
It's in. It's in. It's over.
All over. Just like that.
Wow, guys, can you believe after this weekend, UFC 207, as we just heard the actual audio from the Amanda Nunes Ronda Rousey fight at UFC 207. What a fight. And it's exactly, well, I guess not exactly how we thought it was going to go. It was quick, though. This, of course, is the Fifth Round Podcast with your hosts, Ian Ford, Brian France. I'm your producer extraordinaire, Brian, the closer, Mariano. Now, thanks to France this week, our listeners get a huge guest. UFC Middleweight fighter Uriah Hall is joining us later in the program. We'll get to that interview in a little bit. It's going to be amazing. I cannot wait to talk to him. But the real story this weekend, guys, was UFC 207 and maybe the end of Ronda Rousey's career. What do you think?
I got to tell you, unless she can take some time off and she can completely revamp her striking and learn how to be a complete mixed martial artist, I don't see any reason for her to come back. And it's unfortunate because she was able to do so much in such a short period of time, and she's so influential in the sport. But God, Brian, that just didn't look good at all.
I mean, yeah, it was almost the complete opposite of what we expected out of Ronda. We thought she was going to move a little more, hopefully get the clinch and be able to take her down. But right after she got hit by Amanda, it just did not go the way she wanted to.
No. I mean, right from the get-go, it didn't look good. We thought everything was going to hinge on how she looked, and she looked real bad. I mean, I don't want to pick on anybody, but she came in ramrod straight as a rail, standing high, chin up, hands away from her face, elbows out. You don't fight with your elbows out. That's not how you're taught to box. You don't point your elbows out at a 45-degree angle. That's just bad technique. Her footwork was awful. Her stance was awful. I don't know what she was doing trying to put power in her punches. She's almost crow hopping into stuff, which is just bad. No lateral movement, no head movement. Everything was straight back, straight forward. She never circled. Everything she did technique-wise was terrible. I'm not going to get into all the nitty-gritty on it. If you want to watch something like that, Luke Thomas does a great breakdown on the Monday Morning Analyst. Watch it on YouTube, but it was all bad. There was nothing good you could say about her technique. And she did try for the clinch a couple times.
And you heard Joe Rogan in there to where he was depicting that Nunes is literally standing there with her hands down by her hips, not afraid of Rousey coming at her at all. And she joined us last Friday when I filled in on Levac and Gaz, and she told us, and this surprised me, guys, she said she was expecting Rousey to actually fight with her, not take her to the ground, which I was shocked. And she said to us, if she tries to hit me, I will hurt her. And that clearly was the case.
She said it out in the post-fight. She thinks she's a boxer. Edmund made her think she's a boxer, and she's not. And quite obviously, Amanda was right, because she's not a boxer. Not even close.
It looked so bad.
Yeah, and not to take anything away from Amanda Nunes, she didn't look perfect. There are still things I can point out about her technique that were not great. But I honestly believe there are amateur fighters out there that could have come in for a pro debut and done better than Ronda did. Because her striking technique was that bad.
Ian, I agree with you in a way that, Rousey didn't look great, but we can't discredit what Nunes did. She completely took the fight right to Rousey
absolutely.
And beat her.
She did exactly what she had to do, and she did it perfectly. I don't think she's going to be a long-time champ. I don't see her going and turning on a Ronda Rousey-like run and going 5-6 fights. There's women in the UFC still right now that have beaten her within the last couple of years, that have solid wins over her and definitive wins over her, not split decisions. She's still got problems. Anybody sees her outside of the first round, she's an entirely different fighter. I've never seen anybody gas faster than her, other than maybe Mark Coleman back in the day. But at this point, Ronda certainly does not have the tools. And I don't know if she's got the tools to beat almost anybody, because that hole has been exposed and people know all they got to do is avoid that clinch. And she had 3 to 4 opportunities on Amanda Nunes where she got in and got a head and arm, but couldn't finish.
Well, there wasn't that much she could do after she got rocked in the first 4 to 10 seconds. I mean, Amanda hit her hard, real quick. And so that threw Ronda through a loop, and you could see it. You could tell she was
absolutely
on she was definitely rocked from the beginning.
But it's hard to avoid a punch when your head is just sitting there like a stationary speed bag, begging to be walloped because you didn't do anything to stop getting punched in the head. She got mollywopped because she didn't know how to defend anything.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to see where her game was clearly better on the ground, and her last 2 fights have clearly stated that she's trying to go to the ground, but she goes up against 2 boxers that clearly we're going to say that's not going to happen. We're going to stand you up and we are going to knock you out.
I'll go right now and say if you want to go back and rewatch all of her fights, if you've got something like UFC Fight Pass or even YouTube probably has most of them, if you watch all of that win streak she had, every single fight, and it's not going to be hard to watch them. They're like a minute and a half to watch 6.
Sure.
If you sit back and watch them, every fight either goes straight to the ground or is against the fence. Sarah McMahon on the fence. Betch Kahea on the fence. Alexis Davis, she gets directly into clinch range with her for no reason. In space is where she's weak. Even if you go back to her Strikeforce days, France, when she fought Sarah Kaufman, everybody was, okay, this is a legitimate striker going to fight Ronda Rousey who's got nothing but grappling. And this is well before the UFC even thought about her. And she backed her up with a jab, put her on the fence, and then clinched her and threw her. Well, guess what? As soon as somebody figured out they can stay in space with her, oh my God, is she terrible. In space, she's really, really, really bad. I don't mean to harp on how bad she was, but she's really, really, really bad. I mean, not just not very good, not great, not world class. No, bad. The amateur boxers would destroy her.
Well, I mean that's one thing Amanda was able to use though. She has long, lanky arms, and she was able to use those to her advantage, especially against Ronda, who obviously we know likes to be in the clinch range. So, I mean, and with that power, Ronda just had bad luck in her last 2 fights. She had Holly Holm, who's bigger, stronger, longer than she is, who can strike from anywhere in the cage. And then you have Amanda Nunes, who's also bigger, stronger, and faster. So, I mean, it's hard when you get 2 girls like that back to back. And it's going to be interesting to see what we see out of Ronda Rousey next. Oh.
See, I agree. All right, France, I could see how you think it's bad luck per se. Well, but my question is going to be to you then. She had over a year to try and figure this out. It's not like there was a surprise where she found out she was fighting Nunes that she wanted to stand up. Who is to blame for this? Is it Ronda? Is it her camp? Where are we going to go with this?
Well, when you get hit and knocked out as hard as you did against Holly Holm with that head kick, and then getting, while you're out cold on the ground, hit another 2 times with all Holly Holm's might, you may not ever become the same person ever.
It's the old Mike Tyson. Everyone's got a plan until they're punched in the mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that, but at the same time, at the end of the day, the fault is going to be on Rousey because she chooses where she trains, and she makes all those choices, and she stayed against everybody's advice with Edmund Tarverdyan. But that guy obviously has done her wrong. We have been robbed of the best of Ronda Rousey because she never got to realize it, thanks to a camp that's just not good. Mm-hmm. I mean, Brian, we've got some audio we can play. That's Edmund in her corner. This is just his audio during the fight, and it's pretty telling.
Head movement! Head movement! Head movement! Head movement!
She'll fade up this pace.
Head movement! Head movement! Head movement! Yes, move!
Here we go.
Head up! Head up! Heads up! Catch her! Clinch!
Get to the head.
Head movement! Good jab! Jab! Move! Move! Move, please! Move! 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 Clinch! 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 No! 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 No!
Wow, Ian, I mean, I'm glad you brought this audio in because the amount of times he was just saying the same thing over and over and over again, it really sounds like it's a true disservice to her.
No, and most of what he says is accurate. Most of what he says is not terrible advice. Move your head.
Exactly.
You know, he wants her to clinch, but the way, I mean, that's almost heartbreaking to listen to because you can tell he's just, What's going on? Oh my God. Oh no. He's screaming. He's almost crying. But at the end of the day, man, that was your job to get her prepped for this. And the way she walked in there, obviously, if you have to tell her to move her head that many times, if you have to tell her to do basic things, what did you do in camp? I mean, we are looking at a guy who has just not done good with any fighters, really. I mean, how many guys have come to him, guys or girls? Shayna Baszler, 0-for. Jesse Manduke won 1 fight. Travis Brown came over, 2-4. Jake Ellenberger came over, 2-5. Clay Guida, 0-2. Everybody he's touched has seen their career go straight downward on a real bad downward spiral. He's just not good. And the guy is, I mean, from if you want to go back and look at things her mother has said, Rousey's mom knew what was coming. This is a guy who's a criminal. And from my personal experience, what he's been arrested for is, yeah, it might not be the most heinous things, but guess what? It's terrible for a guy that you want handling your career. He was arrested in 2010 for 2 felony counts of identity theft and resisting arrest. Ended up pleading to 3 misdemeanors. He's also recently, as recently as a year and a half ago, filed for bankruptcy, claiming over $700,000 in debts and claiming that he doesn't even own his own gym. Oh yeah, this gym I run? Yeah, I don't own it. Yeah, no. You know, the one I started, it's got my name all over it. I don't own this thing. He's also got a Muay Thai World Championship that he claims to have that is fake. It was a U.S. title. I mean, there's a lot. I don't want to get into all of that, but this guy has done Rousey wrong and all of us wrong because we got robbed of what she could have been. As dominant as she was, man, she could have been so much better. You can't take that much time off and come in looking like that. What's wrong with that picture? Everything.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to find out, too, because even when you were watching the weigh-ins and all the anticipation through up to the fight, Nunes was not afraid of her. There was not any point where you sat there and said, yep, she's definitely, seeing the real Rousey. She's afraid to get in to the octagon with her. No, she shows up to the weigh-ins with the lioness mask on. She's ready to go, and she was never, if she can come on a specific program and tell you exactly how the fight's going to go, and then it happens that way, clearly there was something wrong in that camp. There's no doubt. So it's just really, it's hard to see how we're going to jump on the Amanda Nunes bandwagon now, and then it's interesting to see what happens to Rousey now. I'm going to ask Uriah Hall that later. I can't wait to hear what he has to say because I know he is close with Ronda Rousey. But where is she going to go now, guys? Is she going to wait? Because I know we were talking about it on the program earlier on Levac and Gaz on Levac thinks she might just take a fight if it's convenient, like something that she knows she doesn't want to take on a boxer again, something that she knows she can win, or is this the end? Is she going to go do movies? Is she done in the octagon? Where are we going now?
At the end of the day, she's going to have to do press, Brian. If she comes back, she's not going to get the same treatment, and she's not going to get a marquee fight. I don't think she should be a main event, do you?
No, maybe a co-main event, but right now she should take as much time as she needs. If she decides to come back, I would love to see her fight. Maybe do a rematch with like Liz Carmouche or maybe someone that's up and coming like Raquel Pennington.
Maybe a Jessica Ai, something that level.
Yeah, a Jessica Ai would be a great fight.
I'd say fringe top 10 at best. Fringe, like number 9 and 10 if she even gets into the top 10. And if she's not going to switch camps, I don't think anybody wants to see it. And I don't think she wants to answer the questions that are going to come if she doesn't switch camps. If she doesn't get out of Glendale Fight Club and go someplace else. I mean, she needs to be at an ATT, an alpha male, a AKA, or a Jackson Wink. She needs to be someplace credible.
Or even with the Diaz brothers.
Anywhere. She needs to, God, no, please not the Diaz brothers. She needs to be somewhere where people are going to be honest with her and not friendly with her. Where somebody's going to stare her in the face and go, look, that's garbage, and if you can't fix it, you don't get a fight. We're not going to sign on as your team for a fight with you until you fix this, because you're going to get hurt again and embarrassed again. And if she does take a fight, Brian, I don't think it's more than one. I think it's maybe one to get a win on her record and make it look good for Hollywood so she can leave on a win and not sit there and walk in and go, hey, I need a movie. I know you just saw me get posterized twice.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see because I feel as if she's going to sign on, she's in it. She wants to keep going. I don't understand. I mean, I understand your point of view now where you're saying, yep, I just want to make sure I get the win on my record, and then I can go to Hollywood and make $1 million. But what's the point then now? She already has a legacy in the UFC. What is going to be some random person that no one really cares about really going to help her at all?
I just don't want to. I don't think she wants to. I don't think anybody in the Hollywood business wants to, and I don't personally want to see her leave on that note. I want to see something a little better.
Well, I think you as a UFC fan don't want her to see that way. Whether you're going to see her in a movie or not, I don't think that really matters on how she did in her last fight. Well, you really think you're not going to go see a movie she's in because of how she got knocked out in her last 2 fights?
Well, listen, what she's got scheduled, I'm not watching Roadhouse because I'm a giant Patrick Swayze fan and she's going to ruin it. I don't know. What do you think, France?
Well,
we can get Andan Verkot from ESPN to talk about movies now, but go ahead, France.
From what I heard after her last loss with Holly Holm, they actually scrapped the Roadhouse remake and the other movie that she was supposed to be in. I think they just dropped it altogether too. But I mean, she is represented by the UFC's new owners, WME. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, because the competitor in her, the athlete in her, probably doesn't want to go walk away with a loss. But at the same time, you've done so much for the sport. You've made women's MMA become one of the stars of the UFC now. So whatever she wants to do, she can do.
Well, let me pose this one to you. Do you think she's going to want to go through? It took her a year to get over the Holm fight, to get through it, and to come back. And she did almost no media. She did the media that she handpicked and wanted to do. Ramona Shelburne interviews, and none of the questions were going to be tough because that's her girl. That's who she wants to sit with.
Well, love Ramona, man. Ramona's awesome.
And Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, she didn't talk to anybody. Now, Dana White already said that was in her contract for that fight and that one fight alone. And now if she comes back, the comeback storyline is not going to sell this fight. She's going to have to sell it. Do you think she wants to sit there and go through all of that media after a second loss and an even more embarrassing one? This one wasn't even competitive, at least against Holm. There was a round in there where she looked like she might be able to do something. She just got hit 47 times in 48 seconds and answered with 3 landed strikes, 2 punches and a teep kick. And that's it. Really? Do you think she wants to go through all that?
I don't know what she thinks. I mean, Ronda's going to have to decide on her own for what she does next.
And that's something we'll ask Uriah Hall, too, because obviously we mentioned that he's close with her. What is she going to do? What does he think she's going to do? And the question now comes to, what does she want to do? And will... Ian, you mentioned the fact that she has to do media now if she comes back, which I agree she's going to have to, because, it's not going to sell itself. Do you think she can be that person? Can she be the person, almost like a Conor McGregor, to be so outlandish and try and sell a fight?
I don't think she needs to. I think she needs to follow Dominic Cruz's example and come out and say, look, I got beat. And you know what? It wasn't until I got beat that I realized what it was to have that belt and to be a winner. And I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to come back. I'm going to try and get back in there and win a few and maybe get back to that belt. I don't want all the other crap. I mean, at the end of the day, she still has years left. She's not out of her prime. I mean, God, she's what, 30? She got 3-4 more years in her athletic prime, but God knows if she's going to do it.
It is the Fifth Round Podcast. Of course, your host, Ian Ford, Brian France. I am the producer extraordinaire, Brian, the closer, Mariano. Now, of course, you guys, you've been getting to us on Facebook. We appreciate you getting to us. Let us know. What do you think Ronda Rousey's going to do now? Is she going to go into a movie? Is she going to come back and fight? Who is she going to come back and fight? Hit us up on Facebook, and of course, we'll get you on. Make sure you check out in about 10 minutes. We're going to get to Uriah Hall. He's going to be calling us from out on the West Coast. Now, guys, one of the other fights that happened this weekend ended up being fight of the night, was Dominic Cruz versus Cody Garbrandt. Now, I know you guys were very intense about this fight before. Cody Garbrandt takes down the win. What were your thoughts about this fight, France?
Holy cow. I mean, when that third round came along and he knocked Dominic Cruz down, I was like, oh my God. I kind of half got it right, but then Dominic Cruz, he's got a chin on him.
Oh, yeah, man.
He can recover from getting knocked down like no other. But Cody Garbrandt just became a star last night, on Friday night.
Wow was my only reaction. Just wow. Nobody saw that coming. Even people who thought this would be a good fight did not see that kind of outclassing coming. And there's 3 key points. 1, Cruz's wrestling didn't work. We were talking about this earlier. His wrestling didn't work. And not only that, Cody Garbrandt took him down really early, and it was beautiful. Beautiful. He moved right out of the way, circled out, immediately came back with a knee tap and got the takedown. It was gorgeous. That took Cruz off his game. Then he timed him by the third round. He had the timing perfect. Cruz likes to leap in with all these weird movements, and Cody just ignored the footwork for once. Instead of staring at Cruz's feet and trying to figure the footwork out, he just ignored it, waited for his waist and his pressure to come forward, and when he did, he had the timing down, and he cracked him. And the third one, Cruz changed when he saw his own blood. As soon as Joe Rogan was debating if it was a headbutt. I believe Cody said it was a knee. When he saw his own blood, man, he was a different fighter.
Yeah, you look back, because they did replay the headbutt a few times. That was nowhere near what caught Dominic Cruz. It was either the right hook before that, or it was the head kick just before the hook. So
I think that's what Cody was saying. It was his knee connected when he kicked.
Well, even Cody, in an interview with someone, was saying he was joking around with Dominic Cruz the whole first 3 rounds, and then right when Dominic Cruz got hurt, he just stopped. He wouldn't talk.
Okay, when he talked to Uriah Hall on the MMA Hour, he went off just talking about the trash he was talking to Cruz, and he goes, "Listen, everybody wanted to talk about how he beat me in the trash talk leading up to the fight. I saved mine for the fight, and I won that one." And he's sitting there in between rounds talking crap to Cruz, and he said as soon as he cut him too, Cruz stopped talking. As soon as he saw his own blood, and you can see Cruz reach up and wipe his face in the middle of the fight. Amazing that somebody could do that to the greatest of all time at bantamweight, and a guy who was top 3 pound for pound in the world, no doubt. Never lost at that weight class before. And Garbrandt comes in and beats him soundly. I mean, easily 2 10-8 rounds in there. Yeah. How many knockdowns did he have?
He had, I think, 4 or 5 in that 4th round.
Insane. I can't believe how Cody Garbrandt whooped on him. And that is easily, Cody Garbrandt now went from unranked at the beginning of the year to champion. That guy's fighter of the year, hands down. I know everybody else wants to pick Michael Bisping because it's the feel-good pick. He beat 2 guys that are on the tail end of their career, not what they used to be, and surprised Luke Rockhold. Cody Garbrandt went from unranked to beating the greatest of all time in his weight class. That's nuts. You'll never see that again.
So you believe there's no doubt he should be fighter of the year?
Oh, hands down, no argument from anybody. I mean, Conor McGregor got 2 belts, but he lost the fight this year. Michael Bisping, again, he went from, his career's over to a belt. That's great. But 2 of those wins were against Anderson Silva, where he basically lost the fight in the middle of the fight. And it just happened to be right at the exact right time for the bell to ring. And he beat Dan Henderson, who, the guy should be retired. It's a good thing he did. So Cody Garbrandt comes out and gets 3 first-round KOs, and then beats the greatest of all time in his weight class. Hands down, fighter of the year. No
you
doubt.
Disagree, France? Agree?
I mean, it's really a toss-up. He's obviously in contention for a reason. It may probably still go to Conor because he won the 2 belts and made history for the UFC, but Cody Garbrandt definitely deserves it. And how about the other Cinderella story with him, with his buddy Maddox beating cancer, and then you win the championship all in the same year.
How cool was that?
How incredible.
Seriously.
Props to the UFC for letting him do it. They let Maddox come out with him for his first ever UFC fight, and he said, "I promise you we're going to get a belt, and you're going to come with me," and then they let him do it again. I mean, that's awesome.
That was the coolest thing in the world, man. Like, there was a lot to remember from Saturday night, or Friday night, rather, but that was one of the coolest things. Like, the UFC definitely got that right.
That was a great moment.
You couldn't tell a better story in a movie like that was.
And how about the fight we might get next, because John Lineker got crushed. Remember when I said, I'm not even worried he's going to dominate him? Yeah,
Yep.
Dillashaw dominated him. 30-26. And now you're going to get a Dillashaw, Garbrandt, ex-teammates, tons of venom, tons of hatred. They're going to fight each other. I can't wait.
You never know. They might do the rematch just to screw TJ Dillashaw over with the double M AAA.
It looks like that's what Garbrandt's asking for, but I don't see any way it can happen. I don't see any way whatsoever, because even Cruz has said, man, I don't think so. He just got outclassed. He just got beat up real bad.
I mean, I would love the TJ Dillashaw Cody Garbrandt fight. Especially because TJ Dillashaw has somewhat of a similar game that Dominic Cruz does. So it'd be interesting to see him fight Cody Garbrandt.
It's interesting to see because, of course, hit us up on Facebook again. Who do you think should be fighter of the year? We'd love to hear your guys' input on this. Where do you see the next fight for Cody Garbrandt? Should it be TJ Dillashaw? Will they have another rematch? Let us know, because I'm interested to see what the people think here, Ian, because ultimately France thinks that Dillashaw is going to get screwed over again, but do you really think that this fight deserves for how well Garbrandt was here? Does it deserve a rematch?
No way. No. Rematches are for when a long time champion loses a belt and it's competitive. You didn't see Aldo getting an immediate rematch because he got blown up in under 30 seconds. You did see, for instance, a BJ Penn get a rematch because it was a contentious decision. You saw Frankie Edgar get a rematch, contentious decision. You see fights like that when it's close and it goes down to the wire. You don't see a guy get dropped 5 times and get just clowned. I mean, Cody Garbrandt's doing a robot and push-ups in the middle of the cage. Yeah, do you really want to see that fight again? Do you think Cruz is going to do anything different? And if you're Dominic Cruz, you got to know that you only get one rematch. So do you want it right now? Are you ready? Or do you want to get a couple of fights in and work on some things and come back when you're ready for Cody Garbrandt and you've specifically game planned? Or do you want to do it right now and blow your wad and have 3 years of fights before you get your rematch? No thanks. If I'm Cruz, I want to wait.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting, guys. Now, there was one thing before. We got about another couple minutes before we get on the phone with Uriah Hall. I saw this yesterday, actually. It came across my news feed. I don't know if you guys saw the UFC lightweight. Khabib Nurmagomedov offered Tony Ferguson $200,000 out of his own pocket to fight him. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Khabib wants a belt really badly. Now,
$200,000 worth, apparently.
Now, here's the thing. And this not to take away from Khabib. Khabib's not begging Tony to take that fight because Khabib wants to turn around and go, I only want to fight the best guys ever. No, they're going to play that up. He's asking for that fight because he makes $100,000 to show and $100,000 to win if it's a non-title fight. And in a title fight, my man makes over $1 million. So guess what? Tony, I'll give you $200K because I'm still taking home $800. So let's go, bud. And Tony's turning around and saying, I want the same contract Khabib has or I'm not fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And that $200,000, that's not enough. I want the same contract. Now, Khabib's argument, and I agree with him, Khabib brings in a giant Russian fan base. He's got a whole country behind him. Tony brings in Sacramento, California. And so do a lot of other fighters. Mm-hmm. It's just not the same.
I just found it interesting, and without knowing the numbers like that, to offer someone money out of your own pocket to take him to the octagon. I just saw that was interesting, and I knew that you guys would definitely have an input on it. So I don't know, man. It's interesting to say. I don't know if I would ever pay someone to say, hey, come on, I'll take you on right now, and here, I'll give you $200,000 to go do it.
Khabib knows what he's doing because that's still a $600,000 swing in his favor. And he's like, yeah, give me my money. I want that $1 million. I don't want that $200K. I want that $1 million. So guess what? Here's $200 of mine. Just dangle that carrot in front of your face as long as you take the fight. Poor Tony. That guy.
Poor Tony. All right, guys, it is time. And, of course, the phone lines are lighting up. Here we go. It is a Fifth Round podcast. Here we have your host, Ian Ford, Brian France, and, of course, the closer, Brian Mariano. Of course, we are happy to be joined on the phone by UFC middleweight fighter Uriah Hall. You can follow him on Twitter at Uriah Hall MMA. Now, Uriah, we've had a lot of talks with UFC finally coming to New York. What are your feelings on that?
It is what it is.
I love it, man. I love it.
It is what it is. I didn't get to be on the biggest card, so whatever. I mean, I'm just sad that the best state in the world, I thought, took so damn long to be one of the greatest sport in the world and such an amazing platform. Like, thanks, New York. Thanks for fucking it up.
Yeah, we're definitely there with you, Uriah. And now, since you are now that you moved out of New York, are you a little bummed being on the west side instead of being here where MMA is finally legal?
Listen, man, the west side is good. The west side is great weather. California has amazing weather. Great people, much more friendly than New York. I'm a New Yorker, but when I came to California, people said I'm an asshole. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just direct. And, of course, when I stayed in California for a while, and then I went back to New York, I was like, man, everybody here is an asshole. So the West Coast just treated me very nice and welcomed me. I'm always going to be a New Yorker. It's like taking a guy from the hood. You can't take the hood out of him. You can't take the New Yorker out of me. I'm always going to be a New Yorker. But I like to explore. The West Coast is just very subtle. New York has like a bunch of zombies walking around, man. You ever try to walk around in Manhattan? It's like a bunch of zombies. No one looks at you, and if they do, say, hey, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Everyone's just looking at their phone. They're just weird. Everyone has an attitude. They hate their job. They hate their life. People at Starbucks giving you attitude. Like, dude, you angry at breakfast? Really? So don't get me started.
So now you said you're living in California right now, and are you training there as well?
I moved to California for a month. I'm sorry, not a month. I'm sorry, a year. But New York taxes they'll rape you in New York with taxes.
Yeah, they will.
California, it's like waking up and saying, why does my ass hurt with taxes? They'll secretly rape you. Vegas is just like an open relationship. It's cheap. So,
Uriah Hall, you can follow him on Twitter at Uriah Hall MMA. Now, Uriah, your last fight hasn't really gone the way you wanted it to. Take me through that last fight. What exactly happened there?
So what happened was the referee was he's British or something. He's a freaking idiot. So this idiot came backstage and said, at some point, if you're not defending yourself, I will yell, defend. And I'm like, cool. I'm sure you're certified and you know what you're doing. When I was pinned, and I was pinned in a position by Mustafi, and I couldn't really move, but I could defend myself. And I was like, all right, I'm sure there's not that much time left. I heard my coach yelling, certain amount of time, let me just defend myself intelligently as much as I can. This douchebag decided to stop the fight. Now, as an athlete that works his ass off, it's discouraging. And I was talking to somebody earlier. It's kind of like the same thing with the fight before that, where it was stopped prematurely in my defense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get it, you're looking out for my safety, but you've seen fights where they're like getting their ass whooped for like hours, and the ref was like, well, he's not out yet. Let me just stay here and make sure he's out cold. Where I get hit a couple of times, I just want to make sure you're safe, buddy. Thanks. It's like, what the fuck, man? It's very discouraging. It sucks. And, that's what really happened. I felt like I was having a better exchange. I was kind of feeling him out. I was trying to set the tone. I was spinning a lot. I wasn't really trying to knock him out with the spinning kick. I was trying to get him frustrated, say, hey, man, don't get close. I might knock you out with that same kick again. I got caught at the end of the last minute, and I kind of knew he would do that because he was like, shit, I can't do anything. I might as well grab him. And, Gegard is very strong. I think he's been wrestling mammals in the Netherlands or something. But when he kicked me, I couldn't really move, but I can defend. And, when it got stopped, I'm looking at the ref. I'm like, dude, you said you would yell, defend. Did you yell? He's like, I did. I'm like, speaking of the fucking language? Because I didn't fucking hear you. And then I asked my coach, I'm like, did you hear me yell anything? And they're like, we didn't hear anything. And I'm like, this mother. So, it is what it is. I had to take it. I know 9 times out of 10, or 9 times out of 10, I can beat that guy. That was that 9th time. That was that one time Gegard got me. But a trilogy is going to happen someday. Hopefully we'll get a really certified smart referee, because the last 2 I got is just fucking retarded.
Yeah,
Hope me on that.
Let's definitely hope so. I mean, I remember watching that Derek Brunson stoppage, and
oh my god, and he missed all 4 punches.
It was crazy. And then Herb Dean, he let his leg go right in between you two while he's calling it. So it looked like you were out, even though you weren't.
And Herb is, one of the refs that I admire, because the dude's pretty good. And I was like, you fucking up, Herb.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the.
They're doing their job. They're doing their job. Just like the judges, they're doing their job. They were born into this field of understanding the blood sport, as many call it. They're doing their job.
Yeah.
Now, Uriah, I got a question for you now that you're mentioning the judges. With the new rule changes and how that's going to look in the upcoming year, do you think judges or referees are going to be your biggest pet peeve this year?
I think, what are they going to be my what?
What's going to be your biggest pet peeve? What's going to get you the most mad? The judges? I mean, we've seen fights like the Natal fight where, I thought it went the other way, but the judges kind of gave you a screw job. Or do you think the referees are going to be bothering you?
I think they're both against me, man. They plotting. They're like, hey, man, we don't like Uriah. Let's just get this motherfucker as many times as we can. So, in my eyes, and Dana told us years ago, Dana was like, don't leave it to these judges.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Don't leave it to the judges. You can't leave it to them. You can't leave your future, the amount of time you put in, the blood, sweat, and tears, all the work you did. And for them, it's just like, oh, I was just looking out for your safety. You're like, fuck you, man. Don't look out for my safety. I'd rather die than you look out for my safety. And that's true. I'd rather die because they suck. They freaking suck.
Now, Uriah, I know you've got a relationship with Chael Sonnen thanks to The Ultimate Fighter, and he's got a fight coming up with Tito Ortiz in Bellator. Have you spoken to him? Do you know how he's doing coming into that fight?
Chael, the All-American gangster, is doing fantastic. I can't wait to see him do a pummel on this big-headed ass dude named Tito. But Chael's looking good. He feels good, he became a family man. Last time I spoke to him, words of encouragement were, bestowed upon me. And, Chael's like the dad I never had. He's always making sure I'm good. Winning a fight or losing a fight, he's always encouraging me. He's doing great. He's out in Portland with my boxing coach. We have the same boxing coach. And I'm just looking forward to him smashing Tito. I mean, I don't have anything against Tito. I kind of know Tito, but, I'm loyal to Chael.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Fifth Round Podcast. It's, of course, Ian Ford, Brian France. I'm the producer, the closer, Brian Mariano. We're here on the phone with Uriah Hall. You can follow him on Twitter at Uriah Hall MMA.
Mm-hmm. No douchebag follow me, please. I only like this people. I don't need any more douchebag. The trolls can just not follow me. Just click the unfollow button if you're a troll. Or you can meet me in Vegas so I can, get you paid by punching you in the face. So either way, it's good.
Now, so Uriah, obviously we've now talked about your past fights. Is there anything coming up in the near future or coming up that you want to fight or anything like that?
No, right now I'm just taking a break. Between those two, the losses back to back, it was one of those like, okay, something's not right here. Let me figure out if this is something that I really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just more than reevaluating my stuff. It's just understanding that there's new people involved and, it's a little bit different environment. I'm sure sometimes favoritism is played. You look at certain people, they get like this favoritismness, and it's a business, man. It's all about business. It's all about money. It's all about status. It's just like life. It's all about status. That's why you have first class on a plane, then you have the peasant section in the back. It's all about status. And in the UFC, sometimes they choose. And I'm one of those loyal cats that I'm loyal to myself. I'm loyal to martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm not that money-go-hungry guy. But, you need it. But I'm just trying to play my cards smart and not get caught up in the drama bullshit. So it's just stepping away a little bit and just understanding what I really want to do, where I want to go with this, and how am I going to do it properly.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that lately, especially with people like Tony Ferguson and Khabib and the debate going back and forth on whether they're going to fight or not. Fighters like Lorenz Larkin taking some time off to explore free agency. Are you in support of things like that, of the fighters finally trying to get their money's worth, their dime out of this?
Yeah, man. We're the one that's going out there and doing shit. A bunch of white dudes sitting by in the corner be like, all right, work. The only thing that's missing is a whip. I don't think there's a word for that. It's most slavery. But, I get it, man. It's like that Khabib kid. Khabib could destroy this Conor dude, and, they're ducking him from him. Politics, bro. Politics.
Now, Uriah, we had UFC 207 on this past weekend. Ronda Rousey goes down for the second fight in a row. Did you watch the fight? What did you think about it?
Well, first off, I just want to say that for anyone to step in the cage as a champion, what hurts me the most is just a lot of people, the negative affirmation, the negative people just jump on the bandwagon right away and just waiting for you to lose. I'm like, first of all, why would you even do something like that when someone's not like that Justin Bieber bitch-ass motherfucker? If I ever see him, I would slap the white off his ass. Man, you better hope I don't run into his little bitch ass talking about she got knocked the fuck out. Like, your little bitch ass could never even do what she does, but you're going to talk shit?
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, dude? But for Ronda, Ronda and I are good friends, first of all, and, I'm loyal to her. And people are going to say stuff like, oh, it's movies, it's Edmund, and like, nobody knows shit. The only person who knows is Ronda. So until you get facts, just shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
That's my advice.
Absolutely.
What I personally think, because I've been there before, where you get that that it's called the freeze, fright, fear, where, you're frightened, you're scared, and you freeze. And I think that from the Holly fight where, she probably got rocked and it was introduced again by Amanda, who is such a sweet person, by the way. I've met Amanda, and she's such a genuine, one of the nicest person you'll ever meet. Like, I couldn't even be mad at her. Like, damn, she knocked out my girl, but I can't even be mad at her. She's so sweet. She's so nice. I think when she fought Amanda, the power was reintroduced to her. She's like, oh, shit. She hits hard just like Holly. And, you freeze. And there was a moment where I'm like, shit, Ronda, move your head. And, she just froze. And it could be the pressure. It could be all these other things. But when you're in there, man, it's scary as hell. People might tell you, I'd rather die. But it's freaking scary. It's almost like a death sentence. The only thing that's missing is like some weapons, like back in the days where they used to have those kind of, what do you call it? I don't know, those days when you use weapons to kill each other.
Gladiators.
It's freaking scary. And Gladiator, there you go. It's scary. And maybe she just froze because, what happened before and the expectation. I don't know. But, she's still a dear friend to me. And I'm always going to support her no matter what. I will gladly defend her honor. And, shit happens, man. And how about you pick yourself up,
Mm-hmm.
In this world, we're all going to fail at things. It doesn't have to be the sport that she's in. Unfortunately, it's been viewed by everybody. So everybody's going to be jumping quick to opinion. Sure, when I lost, people are like so excited. Even when Dominic Cruz lost, people are like, yeah, motherfucker, you suck. I'm sorry, the last time I checked, to be a world champion, you got to think like a world champion. You got to say, fuck everybody, I'm the shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's like society saying, hey, be yourself, but not that much. But be yourself, not the way you want to. Do it the way we want. It's crazy, man. It drives me nuts.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of haters out there.
Oh, my God.
Now, once the dust settles on all this and all the immediate reactions stop, obviously people are going to come back down to earth and recognize Rousey as the driving force getting women into the UFC and one of the all-time greats, if not the all-time great at this point right now. Do you think she's got anything left or any reason to come back to the cage, or do you think she's better off just personally knowing her, saying, you know what, I had my moment, it's over, and move on to better things in her life? She's still got years left. She's not out of her prime yet.
She's not, and Bruce Lee said the best. The only time you're defeated is when you accept defeat. So I get kicked to the curb a couple of times. All of a sudden, I got to make everybody feel happy. And hey, man, just go play movies where it's safer. First of all, to fight is stepping outside of your comfort zone is the scariest shit on this planet. Most people just sit at home on their ass or at a job that they don't even fucking like, or doing some shit that they don't even want to do, and they're bored to death. The word fan comes from fantasy. So when you see someone like a celebrity or a fighter or any type of athlete, you fantasize that you want to do what they can do that you can't. Mm-hmm. And it sucks. But I definitely think she has a lot, left in her. It's just about blocking out the negative people, the bullshit, the fake ones, because now you know who your friends are. I've been there where I've lost, and it's like, oh, man, this Negro's not as good as we thought. And they leave you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't depend on that. You got to have your blinders on to say, you know what? I know what I want. I know I'm going to get it, and I know what I got to do. Ronda has a lot in her. She introduced women to the sport. She was the first to do it. I mean, she's still a walking legend in my eyes. A couple of bumps does not dictate your life. It's like, who was it? Abraham Lincoln. I read a story on Abraham Lincoln. He tried 17 times to be a president. That's freaking 15 too many. I would have probably quit at 12. 17 freaking times, failed marriage, and all this other bullshit in his life, and he still pursued and became one of the greatest presidents of all time.
Mm-hmm.
You can't let people or a couple of bumps just hold you back. You just can't do it.
UFC middleweight fighter Uriah Hall joining us again. You can follow him on Twitter at Uriah Hall MMA. Just no trolls, only the fans. Follow him on Twitter.
No trolls, no assholes, no trolls.
Uriah, I appreciate you giving us 15 minutes to join the podcast, man. Appreciate it. Hopefully we can catch up again soon and get you again before one of your fights.
Hell yeah.
Anytime, man. I love to talk and rant. For me, it's good to kind of get the bullshit out, and I'm all about that stuff. And Nate's part, it was cool, man. I saw friends, family. I got with my mom. My family doesn't really celebrate all that stuff too much because To me, New Year's every day. I don't think you need to wait a whole year. Some people are already texting me, oh, man, it's 3 days. I already fucked up. I got to wait a whole other year to do it again. Like, come on, man. You don't need to wait a whole new year to just do shit. And, you know, my mom, she was alone up in Westchester, and I decided to just do something that I haven't done in forever, which is just hang out with my mom by herself. You know, we just had a good time. We actually watched Disney movies.
Oh, man.
We watched Beauty and the Beast. It was one of those cute moments, and, you know, I love my mom, man. My mom is the reason why I'm nice sometimes. You know, I can get, like, in my I don't give a fuck mode, but because of my mom, who always tells me, you can't forget who you are, you're loyal to that person, you can't change that, and you cannot let someone's opinion of you become your reality. And I thank her for that, to instill those good things, you know, into me. And I love her for that.
You're right. You said you were watching Disney movies. Now, I know I'm a big Disney fan. What's your favorite Disney movie, man?
It's going to sound weird, bro, but it's Little Mermaid.
Yes! Yes!
You should have told that. You should have said that when you were down in the city with my cousin Mark. He would have sang every Little Mermaid song to you, like, all night.
I'm not like a diehard fan, and it's that and Finding Nemo. And the reason why I like Little Mermaid, because I think I relate to Sebastian.
Well, then we kind of have something in common because my middle name is Sebastian.
Get the fuck out of here. You got to go to Jamaica, bro. Ariel, get away from that human.
Uriah, man, we appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much.
No problem, brother.
Thank you, Uriah, man. So much fun. Guys, I appreciate another awesome week. If you guys love this interview, let us know who you want us to get on next. Hit us up on Facebook, on Twitter, everything else on social media. Let us know who you want on the podcast, and we will track them down. For Ian Ford, Brian Franz, I'm the closer, Brian Mariano, and we'll see you in the Octagon.